It's the Chartographers.
Hello, everybody! You're listening to the Chartographers, music loving podcast, music loving people. Fun fact: we just ranked all the Weezer albums. Did you hear that episode? It was great. It was surprising. Some Pinkerton fans are very upset, and they're going to send mean tweets at Taran, which is funny. Because he's not on Twitter. Exactly. So it's great. So,
what now, bitch?
So listen, it's Evan Sadi, it is Taran O'Reilly, it is our very special, wonderful guest, Bilal Dardai, here in studio. Bilal, thank you for being here, as always.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for having me back after the last 5 minutes.
I mean, the whole week that passed. I mean, we're recording so far apart from each other. And more importantly, though, we're doing a happy hour minisode on Weezer. It's free-forming, free-falling, however we want to talk about it. Most importantly, though, let's talk about the thing we talk about at the start of every happy hour minisode, guys. And this is a smorgasbord of possibilities. What's the worst Weezer song?
The Greatest Man That Ever Lived, Variations on a Shaker Hymn.
I mean, it's a really obvious choice. There are plenty of other choices, but that's just
Listen
like
to the
it's
Beach
so.
Boys! Yeah.
Yeah, it's this
This is the hardest one we've ever had to do.
Yeah, because I'm looking at it and like I said, and in the episode, I'm like
Tripping down the freeway.
It's the one. I've forgotten them.
Yes.
So it's kind of like a 30-way tie for all the songs that I've forgotten. They just stick with me.
I will say, for the most part, there's just a lot of boring songs.
Yeah.
And there are some bad lyrics, but there aren't too many songs where you're like, oh, holy shit. Like, this is some Naomi Elizabeth level
terrible,
garbage.
yeah.
Like, actual garbage. There's
Should
not
play
a
Bilal
ton
some
of
Naomi
that.
Elizabeth later. So
Let's
he gets
not.
You mean the self-made pop star? That's so much fun. Rivers could write a song for her.
Yeah,
Where's My Sex is up there.
Where's My Sex is pretty bad.
Yep. Yeah. It's just literally, I feel like you could just take Gratitude, Hurley, Pacific Daydream, and the White Album, just put it on a dartboard and just
You
throw
really
it.
hate the White Album. I think that there are 3 songs on the White Album that are better than anything on Pinkerton. Like, I
wouldn't put White Album on the dartboard. I wouldn't follow you there.
Yeah. We're kind of in the nice little middle ground.
Yeah.
But you also wanted to talk about a lot of the Weezer's visual elements.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
their videos are iconic.
Yeah, but I think also part of it is Rivers Cuomo as a being, like as a character in his own,
and his brother.
Yeah, in his own rock career.
And his brother leaves. Yeah.
Right. Oh God.
His parents were hippies.
Well, I mean, it's just like River Phoenix and
Joaquin and.
He changed his name to Joaquin because it used to be something in a
Really?
similar vein.
Really,
Yeah.
even wow.
Yeah.
And you changed
It was like fire or sky.
It was like it's
or
Summer,
something.
right? Summer's his sister. Summer Phoenix, maybe.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Which Summer Phoenix actually sounds kind of badass. That sounds
Yeah,
like
exactly. I mean,
an X-Men.
I mean, honestly, you have the last name Phoenix. There's a lot of
connotations.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the visual element, though, I feel like, especially when you have Buddy Holly, which is, I mean, listen, Buddy Holly is take place in the Happy Days music video. It's about as white as you can get.
Right.
Didn't someone who was telling us about their friend that thought that there was a different Weezer from the 50s because they were on Happy Days?
Oh,
that was one of your friends. You were telling me that. It was not something I told you.
I think maybe it was Allie. Anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, which is surprising. But the thing is, Spike Jonze. I mean, they worked with a lot of great video directors back in the day. Spike Jonze did the video for Buddy Holly as well as Undone the Sweater Song,
right? Which is fascinating because it's just the band playing and then the dogs appear.
Yeah,
that's the simplicity of that is especially for Spike Jonze, who I think of as somebody with very intricate visions, and it's just no, it's just a well shot band playing video. And then here's a herd of dogs.
Yeah.
Well, also, it's not just a well-shot band playing video, because if you pay very close attention, the drummer is not playing the drum parts.
Yeah.
Oh.
At one point, Rivers is just strumming it without actually holding the chords.
Huh.
He's just
he's playing the guitar, but not really. There's a lot of elements like that where it's they're not actually playing the song. They're
but they're being very clear that they're not.
Right. Yeah.
But more importantly, though, like, they gained a lot of fans through that, and I feel like a lot of people identify with, like, look at this band. Here's a bunch of, like, nerds, like, beer belly, washout kind of, like, people, and they're making great, catchy...
but they're
fucking
like, they're
bowl cut.
and they're shredding, like, the guitar.
Yes!
It's like, and they're really hitting those drums hard.
And that's part of the reason why during Pinkerton's promotional cycle, he was like, no clever videos. We can't have any clever videos whatsoever. He was, like, defiant about that. And then eventually the album wasn't selling as well, so they finally gave in, and Mark Romanek directed the clip for El Scorcho.
Right.
Yeah, which is fun and goofy and wacky. But, like, I just, like, I want to be defined by more than that. And then he kind of, once Green Album came around, like, okay, well, it has sumo wrestlers.
Exactly, right.
Because, why not? Yeah. So, and then after that, I can't think of any other, like, great Weezer video.
Well,
yeah,
I mean,
we
there
even watched some.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's like...
Keith Fishing has the Muppets, so let's,
which is,
let's be real.
But I think, I mean, but it gets into this, the thing we were talking about earlier about, like, his facial hair and, like, how... Well, and also, I would say, like, there's videos for White Album where it's like, you look exactly the same.
He doesn't age.
What Paul Rudd, Keanu Reeves fountain are you drinking from?
Yeah.
Right,
He is a vampire.
Right. It's like, there's the album cover, Dorian Gray.
It's called Juvederm. And it's this really great thing that you can get really easily in LA.
Yeah.
It helps you smooth
from
your
one of those
skin.
LA girls they keep hearing about. Right, yeah.
Do you have a sponsorship with Juvederm? Is that why we're having this
No, why would we have a sponsorship with Juvederm, skin cleaner of the century?
That's not what that is.
Anyway, I really don't care.
It's like Botox.
Oh.
It's like an injectable.
Okay. Also, we're not sponsored by Botox, so don't get it. Bilal, I'm just curious about your college experience as well, because you talked about how in 1996, this is how you kind of got into things there.
Yeah.
But also, you have come from a family from very different backgrounds as well.
Yep.
So did you ever feel, I mean, when you're in a U.S. American college, you feel like there's a lot of things that are just going to be flung upon you culturally?
Sure. So I went to college downstate, University of Illinois, in Urbana, and I will say Urbana had a really good like rock band scene at that moment in time. There were and there's a bunch of bands that started to come out of there, and then there's a couple bands that got big, and in hindsight, I'm not sure why, Hum, for example, or it's like
I know Hum,
exactly,
yes.
Right, but it's like I like that one song that I can barely remember. If you started singing, I was like, oh right, that's Hum.
Yeah.
But there was there was a band called Sarge that should have gotten so much bigger.
Okay.
Elizabeth Elmore had a couple other bands after after that, but Sarge was amazing, and they had an album called The Glass Intact, which was just a hard rockin' three person outfit, and if you're listening, I loved you, Sarge.
Yeah. Also brought to you by Sarge.
Yes, but the Smoking Popes would come through a lot.
Yeah. Okay. That makes
sense. So it's
punk rock.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's kind of like a poppy punk type thing.
Yeah.
But not pre-Blink 182 punk pop.
Yeah, it's weird how for me, I every once in a while back when I worked at Barnes & Noble, during my lunch break I'd pull up an alternative press or another magazine or whatever, and it's fascinating how many bands cited Enema of the State as an influential album for them, truly profoundly, deeply, just it's such a goofy million-selling pop punk album, and people identified with it, defined a lot of their life.
It's sort of like the Talking Heads effect. It's not everyone bought that album, but everyone who did started a band.
Velvet Underground.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
What?
That's where the quote initially came from. Andy Warhol talked about how everyone who bought the Velvet Underground's album eventually formed a band. Not a lot of people bought it. But yeah, no, Talking Heads works too.
Maybe we applied it to Talking Heads in the Talking Heads episode?
Yeah. We talked about Talking Heads.
To be fair, it might also... It feels like it might have also happened with Talking Heads.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because also they were kind of a niche band. It was fascinating, though, because I sent it to Taran. Pitchfork recently came out with their list of the greatest albums of the 80s. And it was interesting. Our friend John Harvey, who was a frequent guest on the podcast, he was like, Janet Jackson's Control at number 9, really? And I was like, let me break it down for you. I'm not sure if I would necessarily agree with Control being at number 9, but it is a significant album for the following reasons. Yeah. Because, I had to really break that down. I would say
to our podcast for more.
Exactly. And also, that was the other thing, though, Taran, I didn't even realize going into this week, you didn't have much familiarity with Weezer altogether.
Oh, no. Yeah. I had listened to the Blue Album, the Green Album. Blue Album, we had... One of my sisters must have owned it, because that was one of those things where, I put it on this week and I was like, oh, I know literally every single one of these songs. I know Holiday, I know obviously, like, In the Garage. In the Garage is not a song that, like... It's fun.
Yeah.
The Weezer fans like it, but it's not, like, ubiquitous like a lot of their hits are.
Right.
What's it? Like, oh wait, this is the song that mentions Nightcrawler and Kitty Pryde. It's like,
Yes!
it's like yes, you know, it's
I
like
got Kitty Pryde. It's like, I
And
remember my
Nightcrawler
dad
too.
talking about how much he loved that Kitty Pryde was in a song. Anyway, so yeah, like I was very familiar with Blue Album, and then obviously Hashpipe, Island in the Sun, Photograph, Beverly Hills, and I think that about sums it up.
That like settled.
Like
the thing,
I hadn't paid too much attention to them, so this was a fascinating journey into the mind of Rivers Cuomo. But
Yeah, an interesting fellow, to put it lightly, despite writing songs for the hard rock band Cold with their hit Stupid Girl, as well as B.O.B. with the song Magic, because I got the magic in me.
when you put that on this week to be like, this is Rivers Cuomo, I was so upset. Because first of all, I always thought that song was pretty obnoxious. And was like, oh, okay, fine, B.O.B. can have another hit. But, ugh.
Did you know that Earth
It's
is
just
flat?
so cloying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
According to B.O.B.
B.O.B.'s a flat earther now.
Yeah. That's right.
That's why he doesn't. That's why
Right.
he's not in the public
That's
eye anymore.
right.
'Cause
Yeah.
he lost
And
his
he'll do it.
mind.
That'll do it.
I know, and he did a song with Taylor Swift. Do you think that would, like, sustain him for a while?
Well,
Nope.
he launched Bruno Mars.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, Bruno
Like,
Mars kind of launched himself a little bit.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
I mean, to be
that's
fair,
true.
I mean,
That's
Bruno
true.
Mars is kind of the real deal, but yeah.
Okay, I'm going to
Yeah.
get on the Chartographers Twitter account and ask Bruno Mars, hey, do you believe the Earth is flat?
I bet he doesn't.
Just saying.
He doesn't seem
I
like
mean,
a moron.
with the size of that pompadour, he believes in curved things. Let's do that. I will say, though, I was kind of surprised, though, because we did ask you to be on this podcast because every once in a while, like, we have this band that we want to do that we're very excited about, and we eventually, like, are looking for a guest, and we reached out, and one of the things, you were a person who on Facebook liked Weezer.
Right.
I thought was interesting, and I reached out to you, kind of out of the blue a little bit. Yeah.
Well, and
out
it
of
was
the Blue Album.
right? Yeah, and yeah, I was thinking back on that, and a part of it is a quirk of Facebook when they first introduced the like, do you like certain things? Because like it was like, hey, here's a list of things. Do you like them? And you know, and like it was like day one of that, and I'm like, okay, well here's a couple things I know that I like, and I put those in like firmly. I'm like, you know, I like the Godfather trilogy. I like this. I like this band. I like Radiohead. Whatever. And then after a while, Facebook's like, oh, you're actually playing with this. Let's suggest other things for you. And you put it in front of me, and it's like, do I like this? Yeah, I guess I like this.
Yeah.
And then years go by, and I've forgotten about it, and not thinking that it has any utility whatsoever for me, but clearly it had some utility for you.
Yes, but honestly, literally, just yesterday I was on Facebook and randomly it was just like I just got a post from Family Guy because when you like it, you subscribe to it. I'm like, did I like Family Guy?
Exactly. Right.
I don't recall liking Family Guy.
We all liked Family Guy. In
Yeah. No, there was yes. Everybody had that
It's a
moment.
different era.
Yeah. Everybody had that moment.
No, and it's funny too because we did initially have another guest, one of my friends, that we were gonna have on this.
Not that
episode.
Bilal's second rate.
No,
right?
no,
not at all.
No.
Yeah, so shout out JP. We couldn't quite schedule with her because she has a very busy schedule, but I just want to mention her. 'Cause,
Yeah.
you know,
Shout out. Well, no,
we did
well,
have a couple really pretty good conversations about
Yeah,
Weezer.
but I think Bilal's perspective especially was fascinating too because
Oh, for
again,
sure.
as mentioned, he's not white.
And I'm 40.
I think you might be the oldest guy.
Yeah.
Dad.
Yay!
No, wait, just
I
kidding.
can still talk
Just
about
kidding.
music.
That's a big lie.
No.
My dad has been on the My dad has been on the he's definitely older than you.
You know? So I mean, but I am curious though because you are a father, you know,
Yeah.
you and your son is how old?
He's 6.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
He was
Because
7
literally, I remember the
January.
day when you gave me your old cat, Bootsy.
Yes.
Back in the day. Sweet, sweet Bootsy. The
Mhm.
sweetest and loudest cat in the goddamn universe. So sweet.
Hey, babe!
Literally, that's how I learned of like, oh, you need a feeding time one time a day because otherwise you're just going to meow at me for the rest of the day.
Uh-huh.
Got it. Yeah, I just feel like, is it weird for you? I mean, because we were talking about a little bit off mic about how in taking in culture when you're a parent too. Because
Right.
like for you to do this project of like you're being asked to do a podcast about Weezer, so you have to listen to a lot of Weezer albums straight through. It's a very different experience from kind of the fragmented playlist, let's put this to work kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And and a lot of times I was listening to it like with my son in the room, and I will say it was kind of the nice thing about Weezer is that for the most part I wasn't expecting like a lot of explicit language, which is something I think until you mentioned it right now I didn't even really think about too hard. I mean, because I think part of it is that any time they do include a swear word, it feels kind of like you're being naughty, aren't you?
Totally.
Right, you're right.
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah. I think it is part of why when we were talking about it in Troublemaker, like the weird slant rhyme of kiads and biatch.
Yeah.
It also feels a little bit like you don't believe that. Like that's not something you believe.
It feels like PG.
Yeah, it's like you.
It feels like this can still get played on Radio Disney if they wanted to, if they really wanted to.
Yeah. I mean, because like you can feel like I'm tired of sex. It's still like it's a song about having sex every single night and being exhausted by it. But
the Adam Sandler story.
But oh god, thank you for putting that in my head. But it is still like he says. Like Tuesday night I'm making Louise, or like he's like the word making is like that, like there's this weird like I'm embarrassed to talk about this. There's something about Rivers Cuomo that feels like he's embarrassed to be a rock star, like he cannot believe he is one.
Absolutely. Yes. I think that's
like
part
he suffers
of why...
from a perpetual imposter syndrome almost.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, perpetual imposter syndrome, and I also think that's part of why I think some of the later albums read almost as desperate. He's desperate to have a hit. He's desperate to still be relevant because he
doesn't have the magic.
He was a Dungeons and Dragons kid. Like, he was never expecting to have this level of exposure and fame, and so then once he tasted it, he needed to keep that going because suddenly that's his career. How he measures his worth.
I actually disagree with that because I feel like the success of the Blue Album was so sudden and so overwhelming, he didn't know how to deal with it. And I think that's part of the reason why it inspired Pinkerton to the way it did. I kind of want to do it because I'm not sure if you know this, but Taran and Bilal are actually licensed psychiatrists as well. I'm not. But we're going to kind of diagnose...
He's lying again.
We're going to kind of diagnose what Rivers Cuomo's goddamn problem is. Because I feel like legitimately they became so big so fast, and the fact that Pinkerton was such a counter move of raw confessional, it was gritty, it was all these other things. They wanted to see what else they could do as a band. And I feel like after they took that 5-year break because Rivers he was so disappointed, and he said in interviews he put himself out there and it just fucking hurt. It felt like he was being stabbed by his fans. He just was rough for him to even deal with that. That every album since then has just been him writing as characters, as everything else like that. Go ahead.
Okay, I will say about the point that I just made. First 4 albums, that was not true. I think it goes back to that Beverly Hills effect. That all of a sudden you have a world-spanning, it's a completely different audience, and then suddenly you feel like you need to appease them, and that's where that sort of came in.
And I think this Beverly Hills is, I think, a fine point to pinpoint right there, because it is the song that is a combination of bro party song and bridge of let me draw back the curtain a second. It's why are you listening to me say this? This is all the things I am, and I know I don't belong here. This is
projection.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's one of. But I feel because the song caught on as a big pop hit, and everybody's out yelling the chorus at the top of their lungs at every party they can find. It's oh, this is the part we just ignore.
Exactly. Yeah. No, especially because it's the bridge and not the verses.
Right. Because I forgot about it going into this
right. That's not part of the legacy of that song.
No.
It's in the song, but that's not what people think about when they're singing it. And I feel like that happens so much with just the songs that get pulled into that white people anthem playlist.
But I think you see that it pops up every now and again in his other albums. There's just a moment of oh, there you are again. and then the pop sheen, the pop curtain comes back over it. I think that's what you see in Troublemaker. I think you see it all over the Red Album, frankly. I think you see it in Troublemaker. I think you see it in Pork and Beans. It's because there's a part of me. It's like yeah, this chorus is like it's a total. I mean, it's a Chumbawamba chorus. It's I'm doing things that I want to do. It's
Chumbawamba.
But
by the way, our Chumbawamba episode coming up next week.
Wait, they have albums?
Yeah.
They're actually a really political band.
Also, the song Amnesiac. I love that song a lot.
Yeah.
Do you suffer from long-term memory loss? I can't remember. Anyway.
I was just gonna say that, because the chorus, it's two lines. It's, I'm gonna do the things that I want to do. I ain't got a thing to prove to you. That is the rock anthem part of it. But then it's like, I'm gonna eat my candy with the pork and beans, and I still don't know what that means.
Yes.
It just sounds gross and disgusting. And I also, again, I don't believe he does that.
No.
I don't. But I think it was him saying this is a disgusting thing, and I will still do it if I want to. But it's hidden behind the rock anthem.
Right. Similarly, though, we were talking about the music video for Pork and Beans, which integrated all the YouTube stars. For that album, I very specifically remember they had the marketing campaign of, quote-unquote, the YouTube invasion, where they just agreed to be on any goddamn YouTube channel for 30 minutes.
Was 2008 the year that Time Magazine voted you the Person of the Year?
With the mirror on the cover?
Yeah.
For the record, I am the Person of the Year.
Well, you were. 2008, maybe.
Exactly, yeah. I know.
I will look that up later.
Subscribe to my vlog. But the other thing, though, it's I remember that because I remember seeing them on the fucking Annoying Orange channel. They did that. They were also on Fred Figglehorn, which is that kid with the super high-pitched voice that has sped up there. Like, they just did... I'm surprised you... Yeah.
No, look, I was part of the YouTube generation, but there's so much content.
Yeah, there
you
is.
can't be aware of all of it.
I had to look up half of those, even when I saw the video, where it's like, oh, okay, that's a thing that I missed.
Dramatic Chipmunk.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw Dramatic Chipmunk, but like the kids doing the Soldier Boy dance, for example. Like, oh, okay.
I will say, in the Pork and Beans video, I got, I think, all but one of the references. Those were...
You know what a Kevin Federline is. Yeah.
They were all, pretty
Yeah.
mainstream choices. Which, again, that's just the definition of the entire second half of Weezer's career. It's just a lot of mainstream choices.
You know what I feel bad about, though? Numa Kid. He just never went anywhere. That was the biggest thing. And he had a sequel song, too. He had a sequel song, an original song that was made with all of his friends.
Well, yeah, Rebecca Black had a sequel song, too.
Rebecca Black still gets talked about as, interview, Rebecca Black, musician. And it's just okay, well, that happened.
Okay. Can I briefly...
briefly, in her defense, she was so, devastated by the reaction to her song because, she dealt with some mental health issues after that.
Right,
and then was
yeah.
Right, and dropped out of school, and then was well, fuck it, I'm gonna show them, and took dancing and vocal lessons.
Right.
And so
and appeared in that Katy Perry video.
Is she an incredible performer? No, but she was if you're gonna mock me for this, I'm going to make sure I actually have these skills, which I respect.
No, it's kind of the sort of the second life of Monica Lewinsky. Because she's she's kind of amazing. When you listen to her speak.
Yeah, if she she has a TED Talk that's incredible.
Right. Yeah. Well, and so it's me. To get back to Pinkerton for a moment.
No, let's talk about Monica Lewinsky.
Okay. Well, same time.
Ken Starr, you bastard.
Same time period.
Yeah.
Yeah. Quite literally same time.
Rivers Cuomo's the Monica Lewinsky of rock music. I don't know what that means, but it sounds about right.
But I think that I find myself wondering if the reaction to Pinkerton was it was as savage as it was, and it led to everything. It led to this rocky trajectory for the rest of Weezer's career. It's hard for me to imagine what it would have been like if social media were quite as volatile and viral as it is now.
I don't think we would have gotten Green Album.
Right.
They would have just disbanded.
Yeah.
Well, I was reading a little bit, and Stephen Thomas Erlewine of AllMusic had a great point about the Green Album. How the Green Album is very much, it has Rick Ocasek, it's a color-themed album, whatever. It was them getting back together and recapturing their audience. But the problem is that they didn't realize is that in those 5 years since then, Pinkerton had gone from being this social pariah of an album
Right.
into like a cult classic. Like it was because it was the internet age and people were sharing these things and going to college campuses.
like
and
the
being
Weezer
They were Napstering it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the thing is that they were legitimately getting to the point of like, this is great. So the thing is, they weren't touring, they weren't putting out new music, but their fan base was growing exponentially.
Right.
And I remember, for whatever dumb reason, I remember the week that came out and that the album debuted at number 4 behind fucking Missy Elliott debuting and like a couple other things, which feels so embolic of the time. But like, it's just like they didn't need to. They could have just kept going in whatever direction, but he still felt like he needed to recapture the audience because he had just disassociated from all of that. He just didn't need any of that anymore.
Yeah.
So it was interesting, and now he's a fame whore. He really is, and it's like kind of devastating to
He
see.
can't stop partying.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he cannot.
He's got to have Patron.
And I would actually recommend for anyone who hasn't listened to it, do listen to the
I Can't
Alone
Stop Partying
series.
featuring Chameleonaire.
Yeah, no, that's so much better. The Alone series where he has his demos and things like that, because like aside from a couple like weird experiments there's some really good songs on there. There's actually one, this kind of like self-made full band thing called Lover in the Snow or something like that, and it's just it's like this amazing pop hook that he has in there that he never shared with the band, and it's just great. And it's like, damn, you really were a great pop songwriter, and it just got lost in the ether there, and it's just like kind of depressing.
But as we talk about with like everything will be all right in the end, he still can find that.
Right.
With the right concoction of influences. I don't know exactly what that is, but he can do that again. I think I also remember, I forget which band member it was. I think it was Patrick Wilson, was talking about how he was really worried about putting out Ratitude. Like, he did not like it. He didn't like the direction they were going in. And Rivers said, this is just one album of a ton more albums that we're going to put out. And they're not always going to be this sound.
Interesting.
And then he was like, oh, okay, the next one won't sound like this, and got over it.
Okay.
Well, and so that's interesting too, because so in terms of what you're talking about, like the gap between Pinkerton and Green Album, like I mean that the size of that gap doesn't happen again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and
I feel like to their detriment too, because I feel like it's one of those things where if you're a band that has like an iconic album and you put out another album like after a long time, like oh my god, they're finally back, but then you just keep putting out more albums. I feel like you're kind of diluting your legacy with each new release.
Yeah, no, because I mean it's like I don't know where you two stand. I mean I'm a Fiona Apple fan, but like those albums are few and far between, and I love when they come out, and I love them for what they are too. And it's like, and I do think that there's something, you know, in how she composes that requires that amount of time.
Okay, but here's the real question. If you're a Fiona Apple fan and you have Extraordinary Machine on your playlist, what do you have? The album that was released or the John Brion version? I
managed to download the John Brion album before it disappeared from the internet. And I'm still glad I did.
It's so much better.
So much better.
I interviewed him.
Oh.
When talking about the Ladybird score.
Oh, okay.
And it was funny because the first 20 minutes we weren't even talking about jack shit about like, it was just like we were just talking about things, talking about how he went to fucking Judd Apatow's like birthday party, and John C. Reilly was there doing his Dewey Cox character from Walk Hard, and it's just like it's just so broy and fun. It was like oh my god, you're so nice. And then we talked about the Ladybird score and how upset he gets when editors have to deal with the temp score, the thing that they put in place just to like we need to edit something, and they're like, can you make it sound a lot like that temp score that we had? And like that was his big issue. But yeah, John Brion still will go down as one of the most underappreciated pop producers of all time.
Yeah.
Between that and, of course, Late Registration by Kanye, because he was the man that did all the string work on that and made that album absolutely sing. But that's its own subject. John Brion should work with Rivers Cuomo, and by that I mean he should not.
Honestly, I'd be curious just to hear what the experiment was. At this point, I'd be curious to hear what the experiment is.
No, at this point, he'd be wasted on Rivers Cuomo.
I know, because legitimately, like, when I said the Chainsmokers thing in the main cast, I really feel like that's a thing that could happen. He is, like, legitimately...
Yeah,
at that point,
part of like brainless, mindless, like vapid pop music.
I just found myself wondering, like, I mean, because if John Brion looked at Rivers Cuomo as a reclamation project,
okay,
you know, I mean, honestly, it's similarly to the way Tarantino made, you know, many of his early films. So it's like, I'm gonna grab this star that people have forgotten about, and I'm gonna show you something new about them.
Yeah,
like
Big Daddy and Django Unchained.
Yeah, exactly. Or you know. Travolta, it's, you know, whoever. It's, you know, it's just like...
It's true, he did completely reinvent Travolta.
Right.
Which is good because we got Hairspray out of that.
Yes! Well, you say, hey, look. Tarantino promises a reinvention. Doesn't promise that you will make the best use of it. Battlefield Earth.
Yeah.
Oh God!
Right.
Yeah. Side note, I think in season 4, and keep in mind season 4 is probably going to be like a 5-episode season or whatever. But one episode we would like to do, Tarantino soundtracks.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be very different for us, but
Yeah.
I think it'd be really cool.
I know, because there's some films that you haven't seen.
Only like 2.
Okay.
The most recent ones. I haven't seen Hateful Eight or Django Unchained.
Or did you see Death Proof?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's really don't really have a soundtrack to it though. Like really, like I mean,
It doesn't, but they put out a soundtrack anyway. But
Yeah.
it's just like I don't remember.
yeah.
Rivers Cuomo, if
It's
you're listening to this
an easy
podcast,
number 9.
yeah, what would you say is your favorite Tarantino film? That's the next thing we need to know. I just want to know. So, yeah, any other thoughts, any stories, anything else? Anyone see him live?
No, I've never seen them live. Was not at Riot Fest this week, so
It's funny they just didn't they play Riot Fest last night?
So the night before we recorded this podcast in Chicago, they did play Riot Fest, and did the Blink-182 cover and got a decent amount of things. But also they headlined Riot Fest, so they knew their fans. They knew they weren't going to go into a lot of specific Daydream cuts. They knew what they wanted.
Yeah.
Unlike our good friends Paramore, who recently retired one of their biggest hits. They recently retired "Misery Business" from their tour set. They don't want to play that song anymore. So I thought it was interesting. Yeah.
They've been playing it for like 15 years.
They
at this
have
point,
enough other
so
hits.
I get it.
Yeah. Ain't it fun?
Yeah, as long as they're still doing Crush,
Oh
Crush.
my
I'm
god!
fine.
There was the random fucking thing that happened this week, though, because there's this one blog where I look at, various albums, and I wound up getting this album I hadn't heard for a while. I do remember it coming out, the Muppets album, which was basically rock bands doing interpretations of classic Muppet songs.
Oh, okay.
Cool, great,
Okay,
awesome. OK Go does Phenomena.
Right.
And we could talk about OK Go for a little bit, too. There's a lot to say.
Okay.
But more importantly, though, randomly on there was the Rainbow Connection by Weezer featuring Hayley Williams. And, it started out very orchestral and very harpy and very light, and then eventually it went into the whole rock band thing, and Hayley was just there. I don't know what she was doing there. It was it was
It's like happened to be in the room.
It was like a
Basically.
Janelle Monáe on Fun kind of situation.
Oh my
It's
God.
like, why are you even here?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah,
Barely.
barely.
Janelle Monáe was on the #1 single by Fun.
Fun.
Yeah.
It's
For
Like,
like
I'm trying to
literally
be
for
fun.
15 seconds,
Yeah,
and she just she wasn't even like really singing that hard.
Remember when Nate Roos tried to have a solo career? That was so fun. And then Jack Antonoff actually had an amazing production career.
Yeah,
He
that's-
produced the Lord album. He
'cause-
produced the St. Vincent album. Like, just so much good stuff.
Yeah.
What are you listening to these days, Will?
These days, I've been a friend of mine introduced me to Greta Van Fleet, which
Okay.
I really enjoy Greta Van Fleet. But it's also an element of well, yeah, it's a Led Zeppelin cover band. It's not. They're good. They're actually good on their own. But it's like clear. It's clear the sound that they're creating. Yeah, listening to them. A lot of Nika Case's new album. And
All artists Rivers should collaborate with.
yeah. And so a lot of it is also so. My son, who again is 6, like he's been on like a Beatles Kinks thing for like the
my
past 6
goodness.
months. So
Kinks, too?
Kinks, yeah,
Oh my god, that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
We are the Village Green Preservation Society.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of that in the household. Gosh, yeah.
I feel like Rivers sees himself as a John Lennon when in fact he's a Paul McCartney and just can't admit that to himself. That's what I think.
He's a Ringo. He's a Ringo, and he can't admit it to himself.
Yeah. He thinks he's a Paul. Yeah. Right, well, in that case, I think we've reached the apex of our podcast right there. In the meantime, though, I will say, if you have thoughts, please, and especially if you have a ranking, leave it on our Facebook page. We'd appreciate it. If you agree or disagree in any particular way, we'd love to hear it in the form of an iTunes
And
review.
you can leave us a partial ranking, because we know you haven't listened to Pacific Dream.
We know the facts. We know the facts, and we're sticking to them. Also, follow us on Facebook and Twitter and Stitcher and SoundCloud and all those places. And most importantly, though, Bilal, thank you for being here. Really, truly.
glad to be here.
Yeah, it was great. Taran, as always.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll be here.
Yeah, darn right. Well, in that case, please keep on listening because you know that we'll be. Have a good one, guys, and goodbye. Bye. I like that.